Hi class, Kevin Robinson here to do my issue speech. I've chosen the topic, are the United States and Russia headed for a new Cold War? The Cold War. Do you remember the last Cold War we had with Russia? I was fortunate enough to be overseas in Germany from the years 1986 to 1991. During that time, I was fortunate enough to go to Berlin. I was able to see the wall while it was still standing. I was able to see the wall after it came down. I got to go to both sides, the east and west side of Berlin. The west side of Berlin, as you were looking at it, there were people, there were flowers, there were trees, there were colors. As you went up to the platform and looked over the wall, you would see a field of nothingness, and then you would start seeing the buildings. The buildings were gray, colorless, filled with bullet holes that they had never replaced from World War II. We're going to see if we can learn if America and Russia are headed towards another Cold War. We will look at the politics behind it and what the causes of this possible new Cold War are all about. Are the economics of Europe, Russia, and America even strong enough to go back through another Cold War? The last Cold War started around the end of World War II and lasted until 1991, roughly 46 years. In that 46 years, what was the cost of the Cold War? According to Wikipedia, the military expenditures for the U.S. during the Cold War years were estimated to have been around $8 trillion. We're going to dive deeper into this, and are we headed towards another Cold War with Russia? What is behind the making of the new Cold War? And can the United States and Europe and Russia even afford another Cold War? Are we headed towards another Cold War? Well, during a speech that President Barack Obama gave in Brussels on March 26, 2014, he dismissed the notion of a new Cold War. He stated, and I quote, "Understand as well, this is not another Cold War that we were entering into. After all, unlike the Soviet Union, Russia leads no bloc of nations and no global ideology," end quote. President Obama also went on to describe Russia as, quote, "a regional power that is threatening some of the immediate neighbors, not through strength, but of weakness." So as stated by President Obama, Russia is not a threat they used to be in size or in numbers. According to TRIP, which is the Teaching, Research, and International Policy, they had a poll done. The poll of the TRIP showed 48% thought we were not headed to a new Cold War. Even though 48% thought we were not headed to a new Cold War, 38%, however, thought we were. So those numbers are really close. As we look into it, what is the real turmoil behind the tensions between the U.S. and Russia? Why do we think a new Cold War might be likely? As we look into it, the controversy, believe it or not, all stems from energy. According to Bradley Clapper, Matthew Lee of the Associated Press, it's about heat and electricity and the tens of millions of Europeans. The points on a map aren't troop deployments, tank battalions, missile silos, but pipelines, ports, and power stations. That says a lot of what's going on over there. Almost 70% of all of the energy that Germany and Europe have come from Russia. America is trying to help set up new natural gas pipelines, terminals, all in the region to help get Europe off the dependency of Russia. So can the United States, Europe, or Russia afford another Cold War? Although Russia is nothing like the old Soviet Union, it is still a force to take serious. Again, according to Wikipedia, the loss of life among Soviet soldiers is difficult to estimate, as a share of their gross national product and financial cost of the Soviet Union was far too high than that of the United States. With the sanctions imposed on Russia, their economy has fallen into a recession worse than any of the ones previously in the U.S. Under Mr. Putin, it seems only propaganda war is all he can really afford. He's run the country down. The only people that are really backing him are the 100, I believe it's 100 billion, 100 billionaires that are his close friends over there. With the sanctions put in place, he's not going to have much to do. It's going to start cutting off their money income, and they'll start putting the pressure back on him. So as we discussed, while many think that we are headed towards a new Cold War and with Russia, it's simply not the case. The majority of people believe we are not. Several different reasons. Russia can't afford it. They don't have the power, the money, the strength to go through it again. As we start tightening the sanctions on Russia, Europe is going to be freed of that. We're going to start helping Europe, and Europe's allies start helping them to become more independent from Russia. So they won't have that dependence on them, so they can get out on their own and free the ties of Russia. So are we headed for a new Cold War? No, not at all. Not in my opinion. It's just Mr. Putin and his old ways of the KGB days, and trying to regain what he once had, and probably never will regain that again. As long as we and the rest of the world keep the pressure on Russia, they will, over time, will have to come and play nice with the rest of the world. There's no Cold War that I see. There's tensions, yes, but no mounting Cold War, nothing that I think we're going to get into. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you.